2009, we made history with the election of President Barack Obama. He called us to service as there remains much work to do to end unemployment, poverty, and crime in our communities. There's so many books on how we can accomplish this. But this year, everyone's raving about this summer's hottest new book, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America by Chicago's own Emmanuel Barbie. A graduate of Northeastern Illinois University, Barbie addresses key ways we back our families and communities. But unlike so many other books on this topic, Barbie captivates his reader, presenting solutions through a riveting life story. It's entertaining, it's different, it's exciting. The perfect book club selection. Don't be left out. Get your copy of The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America. Order today at Amazon.com.
All right, welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos. This is your host, Emmanuel Barbie, and tonight my special guest speaker is Mr. Brandon Jones, and he's going to talk about, I believe it's called trauma in the inner cities. So I'm going to go ahead and let him explain what is that all about, and hopefully, it can help us learn from what he has to, his advice and his suggestions, whatever he has to offer. I'm willing to embrace his knowledge, and hopefully my listeners out there will heed to what he has to, his suggestions about improving our inner cities. Okay, you're on the air.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. What your book is about, what your program is about, is talking about the genocide that happens within what I would consider the urban communities or the inner cities, mostly pertaining to folks of African descent, black folks, African Americans, however you want to term us, melanated people, if you would like to term us that way, but people who are classified as black in the United States. I have dedicated my life work into addressing the issues that surround us and framing that conversation around what we call trauma. I am a psychotherapist by trade. I also do what's called behavioral health consulting, which means I work with agencies, organizations, and schools around and institutions around developing programming to be more trauma-informed and culturally responsive when they're delivering services to folks who are, like myself, classified as black. Myself being a person from the inner cities, I am born and raised in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, of all places. Yes, we have black people here. I'm from St. Paul, and I grew up in a household of trauma and drama. Grew up with seeing a lot of domestic violence. Mother had me when she was in her senior year of high school, had me 2 weeks after she graduated. Ended up being a single parent for a few years. Then she got with what was known to be my stepfather, and he turned out to be an abusive person. She was with him for several years. During this time, I didn't know who my biological father was until I was about 12 years old. Met him, never really developed a relationship with him either. Ended up leaving home early to live with my grandmother because things were just too stressful. Stayed with her all through middle school. Tried to go back home in the 9th grade. Didn't work out. Went back to my grandma's house and stayed with her all throughout high school. Now, during this transition period for myself as a young man, developing with really no male guidance at all, one of the things that I was pretty much a nerd. I was a nerd, a jock. So I like to read, I like to watch documentaries, things like that, but I also had enough athletic ability to kind of mask that to survive. And a lot of young folks are masking who they truly are with bravado, with toughness, with promiscuity, with weapons, because they're using what I call survival stress management, trying to survive in their environments. And we're in Chicago, and the young folks in Chicago do this as well a lot of times.
Exactly.
But for myself, that was my survival technique, and it helped me pretty much to my mid-20s. I was fortunate enough. My athletic abilities got me enough scholarships. my academic abilities got me enough scholarships to go to the University of Minnesota. I went there originally to study dentistry. I didn't know anyone who was a dentist. I was a first generation college student. Didn't know nothing about college, and I damn near flunked out in my first semester. But I had a guidance counselor who was a black woman, and she told me, Brandon, you deserve to be here, and you need to make sure that you graduate because most black males from where you come from do not graduate college. Most of us don't get in, and when we get in, we don't get out. You need to get out of here the next 4 years. She said, whatever I can do to help you, I will. And that's what happened. Utilized her guidance, utilized some other guidance on campus, got in and got out. Ended up switching my major, did not become a dentist. Public high school did not prepare me for the science and math at a Big Ten research university. And I switched my major to what's called sociology. And they've been in this human service, mental health field ever since. Went to grad school, got a master's degree in what's called community psychology, which looks at how it's like public health and psychology mixed together. Looks at how environments, government, and policy impact the mental health of communities.
Okay, hold on, sir. Hold on. Just a moment. Wow, you're hitting some good stuff because that's exactly what my story is, except I didn't get the opportunity to go for no master's degree. I was trying to become a physician assistant, but again, when it came down to a lot of those science classes, that was a little out of my league, so I didn't achieve that. Yeah. Go ahead and continue, please.
And your story and my story is not too different than many other kids from urban environments, right? Not being prepared for these opportunities when they do show up. So either we don't take them or we don't succeed in them because we don't have organization around supporting our young to be academically excellent.
Now hold on that on what you're just saying. That's what I'm trying to do here in the city of Chicago. I wrote my story not to just to just to put my dirty laundry out there, but also to be a blessing to other people. But most of all, to generate enough capital so that way I can hire qualified people such as yourself to join my management team. Because I don't have anybody in Chicago working with me. I do have my business partner. She lives in Wisconsin, like somewhere in Milwaukee, and she travels. She commutes, out of state just to come here to help me pass out flyers. That don't make sense, but again, I'm grateful, that she does that for me. But it's a shame I don't have no support here in my own city, and my city is really hurting right now. We are considered the quote-unquote murder capital in America. All this negative stuff, but yet when I'm trying to reach out to people here, especially African Americans, to work with me so I can get this organization up and running, majority of them tell me that they're not interested.
Which is unfortunate, right?
It is unfortunate, but this is why I wrote my story, and I hope that you get an opportunity to read my story too. Again, the solution for Black America: reclaiming, rebuilding, and restoring the urban ghettos in America. I want to start it here in my own city first, but particularly in my own former neighborhood, Austin, and then we're also going to cover Garfield Park and North Lawndale. That's the west side of Chicago because it's much smaller. South side is, I'm going to say, is about 75% of Chicago. So it's a lot of territory out there, but I want to at least start with it's a little smaller and, get that credibility again. My book is already my credibility, and everything I say in my book, I can back it up to the fullest. But again, I just want to make sure I have people that's going to, read my story, be in agreement, and then work with me to turn it into a reality rather than sitting up here wanting to debate.
Right.
And I want to be able to help our youth. Same thing what you just said, about your story and, about people have to mask their, because, that's a hostile environment. They have to mask their, putting on a front and stuff, being rough and all that. So I know everybody is not, I'm not a hardcore killer and all that kind of stuff, but that's what the media portray us as. people that live in the inner cities, especially black males, that they all, I would just say, super criminals. What's that lady name? Hillary Clinton. She called them super predators. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? One that has that same ideology about us.
Yeah, but guess what?
Realize that same racism about ourselves.
But see, what the media gives, hardened criminals and a lot of these gangster rappers, they give them all the support and everything. But people like myself and you, they want to overlook us. So that's how come I'm trying to start this business, and I want to put it in the inner cities. Yeah. And I want to make it not just here in Chicago, up there where you at too, at least in 10 other cities throughout the Midwest.
Well, yeah, up here in the Twin Cities, this is little Chicago. I mean, most of the black folks here have migrated from Chicago here, to be honest.
Yeah, my nephew lives up there now.
You probably know a bunch of folks. You probably know people that have been my clients at some point in time. But yeah, you're right? You're right that as black folks, it has become very difficult to work, and unfortunately, it's like that damn near everywhere in the nation. It's really hard for us to organize and to work together. And the fortunate piece of it for us is that we do have the internet. We can connect with brothers like yourself, connect with me, who, previously we probably never meet unless we, at some rally or a conference or something like that. We would never have the ability to connect and to talk. But that's the power of the internet. And one thing that we need to do as black folks who are trying to push, constructive and or positive agendas is better connect and reach out to one another and support one another online, economically, and in person if we can make those things happen. I believe that's one piece of the puzzle. But there's a lot of other pieces as well. And one of the biggest pieces for myself is starting local. I think that starting local and organizing local is very, very important. It's important for our social capital. It's important for our mental and emotional health as well. And I'll break that down. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was the social capital piece. One of the reasons that we are stuck where we're at is that we have not organized well socially since the 50s.
Okay, hold on. Let me jump in on that right quick if you don't mind, all right? I just want to say I agree with you wholeheartedly because after the, I would say, assassination of Dr. King and, it seemed like, our black leaders now is just all about themselves. Again, I reached out to a lot of black churches here in Chicago and, established black organizations. And all they keep telling me is just keep up the good work. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I want to, before you get off of this show with me, I want to make sure that, if you have a website, you let people know where they can contact you and stuff like that. And, that's my way of trying to give back. Sure. So go ahead.
Yeah, so before I give my contact information, let me just let folks know what I'm about so that they know what to contact me for. So at the end of the day, I did go get another master's degree in psychotherapy. I do therapy now, and I manage programs for an organization here in the Twin Cities. But overall, my life work is around what we call intergenerational trauma and historical trauma. And I talk about how the things that have happened to black folks have had an impact and leads up to what we deal with now on a day-to-day basis. That our dysfunction is profitable to multiple different people. So, like you talked about the media, there's a reason why the media portrays us that way, and we eat it up. Unfortunately, we've been so dysfunctional and just existing on the dysfunction that if all the TV shut down now, our dysfunction will continue because we have we're about 4 generations into this. It's become habit and culture. This dysfunctional culture that we have. It's almost on autopilot. So the work that I do is trying to deconstruct some of the destructive mentality, some of the toxic, deal with some of the toxic stress that we go through on a day-to-day basis. Now, a lot of my work over the last 2 years has been focused on developing youth and working with young people because I feel like that's our opportunity. Is if we can organize, especially black men, if we can organize us, enough of us, to set up institutions for our young people, both males and females, to go through, we can disrupt the system that is currently going on. And unfortunately, we have to kind of fold to the society that we live in. So we're going to have to be capitalistic. We're going to definitely have some European influence in what we do. We're going to have to utilize technology as much as we can. And this is just where we're at in society. But unfortunately, a lot of the folks who have the will to make these changes, a lot of folks who have some black consciousness, believe that we can't utilize these tools to help us move forward in society. But we can. And that's what I try to do with my work. So my website is jegnainstitute.com. And Jegna is spelled Jegna Institute.com. So Jegna, you just Google Jegna, you can find me. You can find me on YouTube, type in Jegna Institute. I have content on YouTube. I have a podcast called the Jegna Podcast. And then you can find me on any social media platform if you search Universal Jones. That's Universal Jones, all one word. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under that name.
Okay, now I have a few questions I'd like to ask you.
Please, sir.
I want to know, first of all, again, I applaud you for having 2 master's degrees. So that's really nice, man. I'm proud of you. Are you going to go for that doctorate?
I have 2 children as well, and that's the only reason I don't have that doctorate. But if I can find a program or a foundation or someone to pay for it, yes. I currently also teach at 2 universities. And part of my teaching, I get some credits. So if I get enough credits built up, it's on my radar. Not anytime soon, but before I'm 40, I'll probably have a PhD.
So anyway, since I have my book out, is it possible, like I say, I would appreciate it if you would read my story first and see, is it possible that you can get my book at your university, probably through Black Studies or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely an option. There's Black student unions at both schools that I'm at, and sharing your book is definitely something I can do. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Yeah, but also read my story too, so that way, maybe we could try to form an alliance,
Yeah, man, listen, I'm always willing to work with anybody who's trying to make some constructive change for Black folks. Whether that's coming on a podcast or coming on a radio show, sharing content, inviting folks to conferences that I might be a part of, or trying to set up some type of seminar or something. I'm always open to doing anything constructive. So whatever you need from me, just let me know. We can work out all the details and see what we can do for the community.
Cool. Now check this out. Now with me, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. That's what I'm trying to start here. But right now, it only exists online as the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. So I'm grateful that I have a large audience. I'm on 300 social networks. I correspond with 125,000 people. So people know who I am. But again, when it comes down to, organizing, trying to get it to actually really exist, that's my uphill battle. So, and the main thing that I would like to try to do through my type of organization is bring Black Wall Street to the inner cities. Do you think that's possible?
I do if we have a counterpart. Well, 2 things with that. I think Black Wall Street is possible, but we need to have some organized Black political influence.
That's right.
To back that up. You can't just circulate dollars, because otherwise, if it doesn't have anything political around policy, it doesn't mean anything.
And that's how come I'm seeing in this organization I'm trying to start, we're also going to have our own independent political party. That's under the political components. But again, a lot of I would just say, brothers and sisters that I reach out to, they say they're not interested in politics. So, it's like a catch-22, man.
Yeah,
because the majority of brothers and sisters I run across, all they want to do is they complain about the white man not investing, and also about the government too. I'm saying, That's how come I talk about, Black Wall Street. We did that ourselves. We built those towns. And we can do that stuff again if we work together. And the main thing too, though, we have to, the ones that's terrorizing the community and stuff like that, we have to separate from those type of people. The ones that want to cause harm, to our communities and stuff. That's the ones that's bringing us down. The ones that's giving us all that negativity and all this unnecessary drama.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think we can separate ourselves from them, because at the end of the day, we're always going to be a collective. And those dysfunctional members of our community are still representatives of us. We're still going to be judged based on their negative actions. But we have to be able to have an organization that offers these folks an alternative. Now, are we going to have individuals who are extremely dysfunctional, no matter what opportunities we put in front of them, they're going to always do the wrong thing? Yes. But that's a small percentage of our community. We need to reach out to these young men, even though most of them are men, but in Chicago, I know y'all got young girls who are out here thugging just as bad as the boys are.
Yeah.
But we need to have alternatives for them, besides telling them to pull up their pants and stop listening to drill music, stop fighting. What are the alternatives that we're offering them? That's why I talk about solutions for Black youth. We need to have apprenticeships. We need to rethink this mentoring thing and think about apprenticeships. What can we physically show how these young folks how to do? How do we get engaged with them?
And that's what
Go ahead.
Hey, that's what I talk about in my book under the entrepreneur components.
Yeah.
We want to be able to, I would say, give stipends, to our, people that go through our program, to teach them how to, do films, teach them how to put on stage plays, stuff like that, as well as, people from, I would say, the allied health professions. I want to bring those people in. I want to bring in too, again, upcoming entrepreneurs, but people that want more out of life, not the ones that just want to sit up here and, that's just full of negative and hate and stuff like that. All I can do for those type of people is show them tough love, man. I can't have active gang members up in my business.
Right.
I was victimized by gang members and stuff like that, through high school. But some of them was nice and stuff. Some of them respected me and stuff like that. And so that's how come I'm saying we're going to offer a second chance program for, I would say, ex-offenders for nonviolent crimes, as well as former gang members. But I want to make sure that they completely broke their gang ties and dropped their flags, because I can't have, we can't have hardened criminals in there, because if you put a rotten apple in a barrel full of fresh apples, eventually that rotten apple is going to affect that whole barrel. So that's how come I'm saying, we have to. That's what I'm doing in my business. You can't be soft here in Chicago. You have to let people know how it is and stuff. So I'm letting people know up front. They have to sign a community pledge. Everybody is going to be screened, and they sign that consent form that they in agreement and stuff. I'll work with them. We'll work with those people until we help them reach their life goals and till it materialize. Their businesses. But I want to be able to have that support system in place. But right now, I'm still trying to push my little book and stuff. Still trying to recruit just 30 people within the United States, man.
Yeah, I get it. And we're all building, right? We're all trying to do what we can do. And I think, that brings up a good point. We have to start where we're at and with what we have. Some of us will never get on the level of a Steve Harvey or a Wendy Williams to preach this type of message, to share this type of message, to teach this type of message. But we have to start where we are, because you will make an impact on somebody that's close to you. You don't know what the ripple effect will be with that. So that's the approach I have. I do a lot. I do a lot of media. I do a lot of stuff in my city. I get a lot of awards and accolades for the things that I do from time to time. But at the end of the day, if I'm not making an impact on at least A lot of times we talk about one person. I'm trying to reach 10 a year. If I can get 10 folks a year that I'm making an impact on, and help and encourage them to hit 10 a year, I'm doing what I can do, and at the same time being a role model and a figure in my community as much as possible, and for my children, and that's what's important. So by you writing a book, I mean that's an achievement in itself, because most people can't even do that. I haven't done it. Most people can't do that. By you having a platform for people to get this information is very important. And I hope that there's someone willing to carry the torch behind you that you're encouraging to do the same thing. And maybe there is. We might not know who that person is or not, but that's what we all have to do. We all have the capacity to have some leadership. It's just about who seizes the opportunity to flex that leadership so that we can make our community better at the end of the day. One of the things that has kept us stuck where we are as Black folks is we keep waiting on a leader, and we don't look at ourselves. We're too busy looking out the window waiting for something, a blessing to happen, and we're not looking in the mirror where the blessing is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I really like that. And again, all I can say, Dr. King and, our grandparents, it was effective, to do those marches and boycotts,
Absolutely.
Those were effective. But now what I'm saying is like, I'm just going there, for example, Black Lives Matter movement, they're just, our people have been marching, in this country for 52 years, man. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do too with this type of business is, for us to build our own system, man. And through that political part of it, push to get our laws on the books, and our laws will be known as community rights. But now, only thing I might lose some points with you and stuff, but I have to keep it real. I want to reach out to our non-Black sympathizers, people that's serious about, that want to invest in, Black businesses and stuff like that, and want to really work with us. Hey, I want them to I want them to know they have a place in this organization.
All right. So you won't lose any points with me.
I'm just going there because a lot of brothers I talk to say, how come we can't just be all Blacks? I'm like, first of all, I'm not getting support from Black people anyway. I've been pushing this for over 15 years. Yeah, so, I'm like, hey, man, forget this. I'm going to reach out.
I understand. Hey, listen, white folks have given me a lot of opportunities to make the things that I do possible. So I get that. But we got to keep it business at the end of the day. And I think whenever you're working in the business, you work with the market that's willing to work with you. Yes. No matter what they look like. We're not going to get out of this hole by just trying to keep everything Black. We're in the United States. That ain't going to happen. That's a reality that we have to come to terms with. But we need to organize Black as much as possible. And a lot of folks, especially a lot of pro-Black folks, won't agree with that. But if you look at the pro-Black community, they have not, I would consider myself a part of that too. We have not moved too far since the 90s. Or even if we're going to go even back farther than that, what have we moved towards? We haven't built much of anything. There have been things built, but they haven't been maintained. And that's what Dr. Amos Wilson is talking about. He's one of my big influences in the work that I do, is how do we organize Black, utilize whoever we need to utilize to keep moving forward. We don't have to expect anyone to help us, but at the same time, if somebody's willing to pitch in or chip in something, we can take that and understand that's a business transaction. That's the way that I work.
Yeah. And you know what? At first, I had a problem. I'm gonna go there with you too. And let me know when you're ready to go, brother. I mean, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I do want to say that I had a problem at first when I found out that Marcus Garvey, he accepted donations from the Ku Klux Klan. I didn't like that when I found out about that. But I understand, he did what he had to do. But also another thing I didn't really like, I didn't like the fact that he never went over to Africa himself, but he preached to Black Americans to solve our problems. All we have to do is just go back to Africa. Right. And he didn't realize he didn't realize that Europeans, they took over a lot of parts of the good land over there in Africa as well. So would be the same situation over there.
Yeah. I mean, that is problematic, right? We should be preaching what we practice. And that's a different time, then we're in a different era. That was over almost 100 years, I think it was 100 years ago when Marcus Garvey was had his UNIA movement going on. But we're at a time now where you definitely got to show and prove as black folks. You have to show and prove. But recently, folks like Dr. Umar Johnson and folks like these folks have been criticized because they have not shown and proved what they said they were going to do. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a place where we don't trust one another for the most part. So if you're not showing what you need to do, if you're not proving that what you're talking is actually you're putting it into action, you will be criticized, and it doesn't help us because then our trauma kicks in, and we just get in the back and forth arguing, and then we just start to not trust the next person who steps up. And this is what I talk about. Leadership starts with you. At the end of the day, you got to be your own leader and move forward as much as possible. We're not going to get another Marcus Garvey. It ain't happening. You are the Marcus Garvey. You are the Martin Luther King. You are the Medgar Evers. You are the Coretta Scott Kings and the Betty Shabazes and things. You are these people. You are the Fannie Lou Hamer. It's you. Ain't nobody else coming. We have to understand this. If you don't start doing something, nothing's going to get done. So start organizing where you at. If it's with your family members or your neighbors or the folks that go to your child's school, whatever the case may be, you need to start doing something now so that your children have an opportunity in the future. And that's where it is. We need to stop waiting on a Superman or a Superwoman to come and be our leader. You are the leader. Organize where you're at, get political, understand how to get into your child's school system and influence that whatever way that may be, whether that's a school board, parent-teacher unions, whatever the case is, because these are the things that are going to make the change for us. Deal with your own stress and deal with your own trauma. Most black folks have went through something traumatic and we've never healed from it, and we pass that pain from one generation to the next, and we deal with stress on a daily basis because we live in a society that is very anti-black. It is. I'm not blaming racism for anything, but racism is a reality in our lives, and we have to accept that and move forward with it. It should not stop us. It should be an understanding that we utilize and we move forward with. We have the abilities to really make our lives different. People come here with damn near nothing but a t-shirt and a pair of jeans and they make something happen. We're born here. We should be able to do better than most of those folks.
Amen, brother. That's right. Hold on. Before you go, though, I gotta go there with you about something. I talk about in my book about one way how we can heal, and this is what I am gonna do in my book. I mean, in the actual business, but I touch on this in the book. We as black people have to heal from this Willie Lynch mentality. First and foremost, man. That way we can begin to trust each other, because a lot of people I run across, they so paranoid. Even like right now online, they don't even want to give me their email address. I say, if you want to be on the show, just exchange emails with me. And like, I don't trust that, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh my god.
That's part of our trauma. That's what I talk about. We got to work on it. It makes no. I mean, I understand why we don't trust each other, but how do you navigate through the world without trusting anyone? It's very hard. Like, you have to put some level of faith and trust in someone to get things done. And as black folks, we're willing to trust people who don't look like us first before we trust. We don't even trust ourselves before we trust someone who don't look like us. And that's a shame. That is something that we need to be honest about, and we need to work to remove. And we need to build better relationships with each other, and have a little faith. Have a little faith. We may get burned by one another, but if you keep building relationships and you be authentic, you'll know who to mess with and you'll know who not to mess with.
All right,
let's work though.
Let me ask you this then, because in my organization I am promoting the spiritual part, but I say it's optional for secular people because I don't want to exclude them, because I'm trying to, like I say, unify at least progressive African Americans to the utmost. But what is your thoughts about religion in the black community, and Is it helpful or what?
It can be. I think most of our religious institutions are not helpful because they're not preaching liberation. They're not preaching constructive activity. They're preaching wait till you die, and then that's when you get your rewards. They're not preaching organization. They're not preaching organizing politically to change your community. Most churches are not doing this thing. So I think that I think religion in general is a useful tool. I think the way that we practice it here in the United States as black folks is not useful because it ain't changed nothing for us.
Yeah. But at least, but I'm saying at least, because like I say, I've been church hurt and all that stuff. But at least with mine, we're gonna practice what we preach, and like I say, I'm gonna make that as an option, for people that's not, I would say Christians and stuff. But I'm promoting in my business Christian socialism. And we're not just gonna just talk about the Bible, but we're also going to use entrepreneurship as well, because I want to teach people how to build their own businesses. You know what I'm saying? So that way, this organization can be passed down to the next generation. I think that black people should embrace what I'm saying, but that's fine. But last and not least, I want to say to you as well, I'm also trying to connect with our African immigrants, because I want my organization to be over there on the African continent, at least in 10 countries. So, this is just my contribution back to our racial group,
Absolutely, and I completely understand that. But before we reach out to anyone on the continent, we need to make sure our stuff's tight here, because like most ethnic groups, we'll look out for our ethnicity first. And that's how everyone else in the world operates. So Nigerians are gonna look out for Nigerians. People in Somalia are gonna look out for Somalians. That's how they're gonna operate first. We may all have brown skin, but it's ethnicity once you leave the United States. So
yeah, and then also
pride,
and also tribal too. They
absolutely
go through, they separated by that stuff too, and that's how come Africa has been divided, and the land is stolen. Pretty much, just like the United States.
And that's human nature. And that's why I'm saying, if we're going to go across and be Pan-African and work with Africans, we need to make sure we're organized here first, because otherwise it's like working with any other ethnic group. They're going to seize the opportunity on us and we're going to be left behind. Because that's how humans operate. We got to be real about this, just because we have to understand, we have to be global thinkers. This is something that Mr. Lily Fuller Jr. talks about, thinking globally. You have to understand that people operate in clusters and units. And we have a very racialized mentality here because that's how the United States work. But when you leave the United States, people think in terms of, like you said, tribal, ethnicity, where they come from, right? And we can't go thinking just because we black and they black, we're gonna be all good. That ain't how it works. We'll get caught and we'll get abused and used just as bad as we do here, because we don't have a good understanding of what's going on. That's why it's so important to work where you're at globally. Locally, it's very important to work where you're at locally to get organized and to make things move forward, because that makes you more powerful when you have a system, a unit, an institution behind you to get things done. So,
and good point, brother. Anything you would like to ask me before we go?
No, I just appreciate you having me on your platform. Whenever you need me to come on, just let me know. If folks want to reach me, you can just Google Jegna Institute. That's Jegna Institute.com. I have a podcast. I have a YouTube channel. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Universal Jones. No funny spelling, no underscore, just Universal Jones straight up. I look forward to hearing from anybody. If you have any questions or you want me to come on your platform, or if the case may be, feel free to hit me up.
Oh man, this is great. Now, hey, if you have some more topics that you want to talk about, just let me know and I'll, put you on. But I'm just using this show temporary until, God opened up these doors for me till, I'm able to generate enough capital from this book sale and, recruit, qualified people, so that way I can actually be in the, out there in the community. But I'm grateful to use this show as a platform for people such as yourself and other people that's got stuff positive that they're doing. Those are the kind of people I want on my show. Ordinary, law-abiding citizens. I don't want people that's on here that just want to, that race fighting and debating and all that stuff and all that unnecessary drama. And so that's how I'm going to run my business, too.
That's fabulous. Understood.
Yeah. All right, man. I enjoyed having you on. And like I say, you hit me up whenever you have some other topics that you want to talk about. And, I'll make it happen.
Will do. Thank you again for having me. Have a good evening.
Hey, last and not least, I want to encourage you, since you're already on my friends list on Facebook, join all my social groups, man, on Facebook and, promote your stuff that way as well. I mean, I'm trying to get people to interact with each other.
Okay, will do.
All right, peace out.
Peace out, man. Have a good evening.
You too.